iba a decir, ¿cuál halftime show, dude? Ya llegó Bad Bunny aquí, ¿no?
That's exactly. I was like, I couldn't enter a Bad Bunny, no.
Y sí, güey. Chambea,
Falta
jala.
un poquito, en el presupuesto, dude. And he'll come right in, dude, before you know it. Pero welcome back to another episode de Todos Toman podcast. We've been MIA. We've been ahora sí que taking a little break after that Halloween themed Barra Libre episode. So, I mean, definitely, went almost viral. Tank became so many people's Facebook banners with that one night stand costume.
To,
He did, dude. He did.
was it only Caesar?
That
Hey,
is more than
that's
zero, dude.
viral.
Oh, viral.
That is more
That's,
than zero, dude.
that's viral enough, no?
Hey,
Uh, I did not attempt for like the third time to explain to my mom about why did my costume make sense about being a French kiss.
French kiss. ¿Pero por qué? Es que, pues, kiss del grupo, ajá. Y francés, ajá. Un beso francés, no le entiendo.
¿Y dónde estaba el baguette? Croissant. Um, but yeah, muchachos, we're back. How are you guys feeling coming back? 2-week break. I know we're trying to figure a few things out, logistics, schedules, kind of get in the way, pero pues aquí estamos. How are you guys feeling today?
Dude, honestly, I did not realize how long it had been until you said the Halloween special, and I was like, fuck, dude. Like,
Ya vamos a llegar a Thanksgiving, dude.
yeah, dude.
Yeah. I think right after, like, ya cuando llega Halloween, dude, it just goes real fast because you got Thanksgiving, and then you got Christmas, and then you got New Year's. So it's like as soon as you get to October, like, ya se acabó el año, dude.
Y sí, porque ya año nuevo empieza la dieta, ahora sí.
Es lo que decir, like, se va as fast as la dieta, dude. Like,
Oh man, muchachos, we're losing track here. ¿Qué están tomando el día de hoy?
But dude, so I ended up having some infection aquí por mi dientito que tengo malo. El Romero, el de la experiencia, he'll understand it, dude. So nada más just ahora sí, nada más just sparkling water, LaCroix from Costco though.
Hey,
So still
shout out to
waiting for that Costco sponsorship, dude.
que nos
Me
manden
pongo
los hoodies. Have you seen the
hell
new
yeah,
hoodies,
Kirkland, dude. Yeah, dude. Dude. So you ever seen those Gucci or like ya ves que like como las camisas que tienen like Gucci all over it? They have
Ajá.
one que dice Kirkland. It's like era todo all black and then the letters were in black, but se veía chida. Pero pues you're like, damn, this shit just says Kirkland everywhere. But estaba chida, dude. Estaba chida.
It's all right, Costco. Just send them our way. We'll rock them.
Anything.
What you got,
va.
Tank?
Déjenles cuento mi triste historia, dude, de today. I was,
Oh
estaba,
no.
estaba en el trabajo, güey, y de repente me empezó a doler mi cabecita, pero era de acá, like, kind of like the back side area.
Oh, I
And
thought you
then,
were like making sure we knew what cabecita you were talking about.
oh, pues
Right?
también,
He's
dude,
like,
también.
I'm like, oh, pues, qué bueno, dude. Que, I mean,
Y sí, ¿no?
la verdad es que
Y,
mira, déjale enseño donde me duele, ¿no?
y luego, like, I don't know, dude, like, I just started feeling, like, really dizzy. Like, it felt like cuando todavía andas, diría Johnny Boy Credo, dude, que todavía
Mhm.
andas, like, entre crudo y pedo. Like, it felt like that. Like, I felt nauseous, dude. I went to lunch to my mom's house because I usually go to her house for lunch. Le dije, and she's like, déjate checo la presión. Dude, that shit was fucking high, dude.
Ah, no mames.
Yeah, so that shit was high. También, my fault, no me estaba tomando my blood pressure medication. So because of that, también nada más estoy tomando agüita hoy, dude. From an
Ah,
orange
cabrón.
juice
Mira.
fucking bottle.
I was gonna say, like, trajo su, ¿cómo le dicen? Like, the little decanters, dude?
Dude,
¿Su cantinflora?
so, se pone medio, ¿cómo se llama? Medio dry in the room.
Yeah.
Y, like, normalmente me levanto con la pinche garganta toda seca. So because of that, me agarré este pinche de jugo,
Tomaste
dude.
el orange juice nomás para meterle agua y tomártelo.
Sí, tiré el orange juice, ¿no? En el pinche sink. Y now that's my little decanter, dude. So,
I got you.
Casco, si tienes un decanter chingón y me lo quieren mandar,
Ooh.
pues.
Un humidifier, dude.
Oh, yeah, I got the humidifier already.
Oh yeah, yeah, you got it. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, trust me. I had to have a humidifier, air purifier, un calentón and a fan on deck, dude. Cause yeah, dude, the air dry as hell, dude.
Va, ¿y tú, Romero, que
Um, so no es mucho too much of a triste historia, but so I'm drinking Woodford Reserve.
okay.
Um, pero le está diciendo a Tanque antes de que we started recording, I was gonna drink my whiskey neat without ice, and you know I always put ice in my whiskey. Pero se tardó tanto Miguel in joining us, que I'm like, you know what, let me go get ice. Pero ya me había servido mi vaso.
Uh-huh.
Y pues, I guess without the ice, no me sé medir, so le serví mucho whiskey. So
Oh,
when I dropped my ice, it was about to overflow. So I took like 2, 3 gulps of whiskey, and my body was not
gulps,
ready just yet. My
not
body was not
sips,
ready
dude.
for it.
Gulps. Oh
Gulps, dude.
shit.
Pensó que era
Porque,
apple juice, ¿no?
porque es que
Oh
tengo el little smoker, dude.
Oh.
ah. Okay. I was like, oh shit. This man said gulp. Like,
Pues
like
sí, it was overflowing. I had to like gulp it real fast. Qué rico. Pero, muchachos, salud. I don't even know where the sound effect is, dude. That's how bad I am.
uh, it
Clink, clink, clink,
is.
clink, 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 clink.
Oh, you know what?
Aquí está, ya lo
Got it.
tengo. Salud, muchachos.
So, en este episodio de Casi Todos Toman, ¿no?
Solo
Y sí,
Romero
eh.
toma, ¿no?
No, I shouldn't
Solo.
even be drinking after those like 3 gulps. It was like equivalent to like 2 shots.
Technically, yeah, dude.
Oh
Este,
shit, dude.
pero pues también pointing out the obvious, Johnny Boy is not joining us today.
Correct.
Um, shout out to Johnny Boy. He's taking care of family duties. So,
So
What
this
he doing?
episode is gonna run forever, dude, porque no está quien
que nos
normally.
diga, que nos
Sí,
diga, it's the 1 hour mark
y
y así
sí,
vamos a
dude.
seguir derecho.
It's the one
But we
hour
do
mark, but
have,
keeps going, no?
Y sí.
sí, sí. Mm, But we do have a live coming next week. So we'll be doing a Barra Libre live on Wednesday nights. Johnny Boy hopefully will join us for that.
I
Um,
heard I heard Johnny Boy se va a vestir de Pocahontas, dude,
in honor of
in honor of
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving, dude. Yeah,
I was like, well, where this is going? I'm like, I know que a huevo se quiere disfrazar de princesa, dude.
pues por eso, dude. Ya, ahí está.
He, he definitely surprised me, dude, because he kept insisting que quería ser princesa, dude.
I don't know, dude. There's a lot of things that have been coming out this
We
past
kept.
week.
There's no real
Any-
surprises anymore, right?
Sí.
Wait, but I was like, if he would have like really told us what he was gonna wear, dude, I would have told him, dude, he could have been um madreada and I could have been madre sota, dude.
oh,
But
yeah.
he wanted to go with nunchuck, dude, and he never disclosed his costume, dude, because behind the scenes a little bit, we had to tell each other para que we didn't have to repeat
What
the
we were.
puns.
Yeah.
Es
But
que
mhm.
es que we just go through the first page to Google, dude, and we're like, so
Vamos a agarrar
the
lo mismo, ¿eh?
probabilities were there, no? De que like,
De que fuéramos a usar el mismo costume. Pero
sí.
no, dude, I think it was pretty fun. Puns for Halloween costumes. I don't think I mean it's obviously something we hadn't done in the past. So um un shout out to Miguel for coming up with that idea.
I just watched Bob's Burgers, dude.
De veras,
That-
you keep
that's where
throwing
I got.
those
That's where I got it
burgers.
from. Dude. Yeah. I was like, oh, that's cool. Something I didn't think about as a kid, and I was like, oh, it would have been dope to do this, and why not do it?
For sure, but at this point, I hope everybody had a great, safe, and fun Halloween. Um, we'll definitely, I'll save all Thanksgiving stuff related to next episode.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, Pero today, muchachos, I do. It should be a quick and short episode. Hopefully, as promised. Pero I saw a video. I think it was more than likely somewhere in like uh a Facebook reel or something. That made me think a lot, and it stood out, and I wanted to bring it up to you guys. Um, and I should have saved like the handle y todo, porque it's this podcast. I can't remember the name of the guy. Um, pero point being que this analogy, I had seen some videos like it before, but he was talking about it. And let me start by asking, like, have you seen the videos where they draw a circle around an ant? Like there's an ant on a paper or on the sidewalk, and they draw a circle around it.
I've seen the one where they make a circle with like water around like an ant.
Um, okay, no, I have not seen the water, pero so this video is, and I have seen, like I said, I've seen the videos before, pero they draw with a pen or a chalk, they draw a circle around an ant, and the ant won't go past that circle. Like they'll roam around, and whenever they see the line, they stop and they turn around, they go back a different way, and they try to get out of the circle. Um, they do the same thing with a spider, and the same thing happens to the spider. Like they see the line on the ground on the paper where they're at, and they won't cross that line. And the experiment here is that the guy kept drawing the circle smaller and smaller until it was too small that the ant, like making, like not the ant, the spider makes a move, and it realizes like, oh shit, like I went over the line and nothing happened. So then the spider moves around, and now they try to make another circle, a big circle around it, and now the spider knows like this is not holding me back. I could walk through it.
Mm.
So that's the thing, and the analogy there is that like a lot of the times we're afraid to make decisions. We're doubtful in a decision we're about to make because we put these like imaginary circles around us saying that I'm not good enough or I might not succeed, so why should I try? Like all these barriers in front of us, they're just like imaginary, and nothing happens if you actually go for it, if you take a chance. Uh,
Mm.
and I guess also as part of like the headspace that I'm in, like I've been thinking a lot about entrepreneurship once again, and also having fears about launching your own business again, and what if it's not successful, and all these like things. So it got me thinking, and I wanted to ask you guys: is there anything that comes to mind when I talk about these like imaginary circles or barriers that you put around yourself? Um, that anything that comes to mind when you hear that?
Oh, definitely, dude. I think like so naturally I'm an overthinker um for everything, you know.
Mhm.
If it's something I want to buy, like I'm the type that can like I do a shitload
I
of
want to have.
research.
I want to be an overthinker when I want to buy, dude. I just drink a little bit and I purchase. Then I
Damn,
regret.
dude. So like I look at things, I look at, it's the compare prices, look at different brands y todo eso, y like qué es lo que vale la pena, for me, for what
Mhm.
I'm looking for. And I'm like that in everything. Um where I always overthink stuff, and I feel like I naturally doubt myself. Y lo digo porque I know, por ejemplo, like when I was working with you and Brandice, like I know Brandice is something she told me. She's like, you know what, like you gotta stop doubting yourself and believe that you're able to, like do these things. Like, you have a lot of characteristics that like son like buenas, positive. And también when I was working at the coffee place, La Dueña, I remember she had a conversation with me and she's like, you know what, like I think you sell yourself short, where it's like you're like, oh, like I want to do this,
Mhm.
pero like I don't think I'm able to, or I don't think, because of this or that, whatever. Um, and I found myself doing that again this time around, where I think I told you, like I went to an event for work, and I was talking to like realtors y o sea, diferentes personas in that space, and there was a lot of like, oh, you do his social media, like, like, um I'm looking, or like I don't have anybody that does mine, and I've been looking into trying to, like, make videos and make content and this and that, and like me being like, damn, like, you know what, like, I see this opportunity, I should take it and be like, oh well, like, I'll do it for you and this and that. But then I was like, fuck, like, would I be able to? Would I, like, and it's like things that I'm already kind of doing, you know.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, like I feel like I always make these circles of like doubt, that have definitely held me back.
And as I think about that, right? Does it come from? Because I was like really like I was really thinking about this shit. Because like same thing, right? Like after we had the business or whatever, and we decided to shut it down. It's like all right, like let's put ourselves out there back to applying for jobs. And you look at these job descriptions, and I can guarantee you that 98% of the times I would look at those, I'll be like, I'm not calling up qualified enough to do that. But then you talk to somebody else and it's like, dude, you've been doing X, Y, and Z for so many years. You have experience. You've done this other things, like, so and I'm thinking about it, like, why don't we, just feel confident taking these steps? And is it because we come from a line of, at least, so I'll speak from my point of view, like a long line of just kind of general labor. Like you show up, you do your work, and that's that. And you don't take chances. You make sure you're there on time. You don't break the rules. Because all you want is a steady paycheck to make sure you are able to afford the things that you need to sustain your family.
Right.
Um, and is it that we're a generation where, like, yeah, you can have your job, you can have a hobby, you can create your hobby into a job, and even taking steps in different directions that way is something that we can look back and say, that person in my family did it, so you
Right.
feel confident enough to take those steps. And that's kind of where I'm at, and I'm looking back and I'm like yeah, like that could be it, but it doesn't stop me from fucking still seeing that line and saying like, hey, should I cross it or not?
Yeah. I think Miguel and I have had this conversation before. Por ejemplo, like, como dices, my dad, he's been like a blue collar job, like factory
Mhm.
jobs most of his life, especially here in the US. And it was always like, like, oh, como dices, like, do what they tell you to. If you work hard, you let your job, like, you let your work speak for itself and this and that. And then you, like, transition into a white collar job, and you're like, no, like, that's not how it works. Like, they're not going to give you a raise because, oh, sabes que, like, he's been doing this and this and this. Like,
Porque le echa ganas, you know?
right. Like, because he's here, and like he stays overtime, or like he stays longer hours than he should. Like, no, like, you find out you have to go in there and be like, you know what, like, this is my productivity. Like, I do this, this, and this. Like, this is why, like, I deserve a raise. And like, pretty much like demand slash ask for a raise, o si
You
no,
gotta
no te lo
state your
dan.
case.
Right. Y and I think it is también, just the different mentalities between, um, porque then, like, por ejemplo, with my manager now, like, I had my 90-day review, not so long ago, and I asked him, I was like, what's something I can improve on? And he's like, you know what, like, just staying on top of me, as far as like, if you tell
Cuidado con
me,
esas preguntas.
no. So,
Mm-hmm.
right. And he's like, it's as far
Cabal.
as like, if you tell me like, hey, like, I need this and this from you, like, and if I tell you like, okay, like I'll give it to you, like, I'll turn it in tomorrow, whatever. He's like, and if I don't, he's like, for you to be like, hey, like, remember, you owe me this, this, and that. Like, I haven't gotten it. Like, where is it? And I was like, oh shit, like going back to my past experience, it was always like I'm the boss, so like, what do you mean you're gonna tell
Do
me?
as I say and don't
Right,
bother me, right?
right,
Versus now it's like your boss is telling you like hold me accountable.
right. So it's definitely a big difference. And como dices, like maybe our parents not having that experience where los consejos que nos daban was more labor labor force based. And
Mhm.
yeah, dude, I mean,
And so do you think it's I don't know if the question is, do you think it's like cultural for us or just or it's just rooted in blue collar work that our past generation was our parents, grandparents, at least in my case, right? It was all who they were working, and that was the advice, like échale ganas, show up on time every day. There was like even if they had PTO, like why would you take PTO? It's gonna look
right,
bad on you.
right.
Like ahorita they look at fucking like, oh, mental health, que tiene la niña,
You see, dude.
and it's like, yo, like it's different times, man. But I think when when you're in that situation, like what has like can you think of a time where you actually like, took a chance and just like, you know what, fuck it, like if I fail, I fail, like porque también there's also a part of me that is like if I fail, I want to fail fast. I don't want to take too long to
Mm,
fail so I can learn from that. Um, but it has like outside of work, related, like is there a time where you kind of felt insecure in taking a step and then you just said like fuck it, let me just go for it.
um, yeah, or
Oh no, so I was gonna say like so the earlier topic. I mean, like
Hmm.
I know I think I brought it up last year, 2 years before that, somewhere on there. Like when I was still at Discover, right? So they sent me or they had me go into this like uh Latino what's it called leadership program by ASE, and that was one of the main
I
topics
say
that they
it's
were discussing.
HACE, right?
Yep, yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had to do one of the programs. So uh, one of one of the big topics, or like I guess a chapter of it, was around that, right? Around the differences between uh like Latino normal Latino people and more of Americanized people, right? Where there's a difference of when por ejemplo una persona güera que ya like yeah they understand how corporate America works because they've been not indoctrinated into it, but like yeah, they're not the first generation
It's
that are
part
in
of their
corporate.
lived experience generationally.
Correct.
yeah.
Yep. Like so, como like how you guys were saying it, like that. As soon as they get a position, they're already asking like, "What do I need to do to get a promotion? What do I need to do to get a raise? Like, tell me what I need to hit in order to do this stuff." Or apenas they're getting hired already, like, how can I get to the next level, right? And
Mhm.
they're like, and for us Latinos, we tend to go to a job and we're like, all right, hay que echarle ganas, hay que esforzarte, and like people that have been
Let me
working in
prove my worth, no?
right.
Hmm.
And people that work in corporate, they'll tell you like, yeah, like your team members understand the work you do, and but a lot of the times you just get taken advantage of because you're just willing to do all these crazy amount of works, put all these crazy amount of hours, and at the end of the day, it does not mean you're going to get a raise. You could get a small raise versus like be more proactive and going after what you want and understanding what you need, right? Y también estaban diciendo they're like, for us Latinos, it tends to be like, oh well, like I deserve a raise because I've worked hard, I've put overtime, I put this, versus how we should be is we should be more data driven, such as like the work I have done has caused so much in revenue. Like I was able to what's it called? Do so many like like stories, Jira stories, so many incident tickets, whatever it is. But you have to have
Tie
like
it back
a
to that
valid,
ROI of the
right?
company. Hmm.
Correct. They're like, so that's something we don't know how to do, and because nadie nos enseña a hacerlo, right? And they're like, and one big thing that we don't ever do is we don't look to have a mentor that is not our manager, like somebody
Right.
that's in the company or in the field. Like they don't have to be a company; they could be in in the same field,
Hmm.
or just somebody that you're like, what, like for example, let's say like you get somebody that's like works at like fucking Google, right? They're some human resource manager, whatever, right? And they're able to tell you how to articulate your conversations and how to handle situations based on their previous experience. And it doesn't have to be like, hey, like I'm having a trouble with this server, like like that stuff you could learn, or you could go on, ChatGPT, Google, all this other stuff para aprender, or watch un video de alguien en India, no? Like te puede enseñar como how to fix that shit. Pero
Yeah.
like the soft skills is what usually we always need help with, which is where we should be going to somebody to kind of que nos ayude, right? And so for us, it was like, hey, make sure you pick somebody that's a mentor, but they cannot be your manager, because at the end of the day, your manager is your manager. They will help you, but how are you going to go up to your manager y decirle, hey, I'm trying to talk to my manager, pero no me hace caso, right? No, no puedes.
Right.
So, and it's something that till today I struggle with. And como dijiste tú, like la última vez que te aventaste para ver si pasaba o no pasaba. I'm like, I feel like I've done it a few times, but it has been mortifying, terrifying, and scary. Uh, doing Icy Stars. That shit was, it was scary, but it was like, all right. To me, it was like, si pasa algo. Si no, I just wasted 4 months of my 4 months of my time. Right? I wasn't going
Hmm.
with like, hey, I'm gonna bet it all, like, because I had no idea what I was getting myself into, right? And then afterwards, cuando me ofrecieron el contrato at Discover, I was like, all right, si pasa, pues que pase, ¿verdad? But it was still fucking scary, especially yeah, like after my I got hired. My I had no manager because my manager got fired, and I had a new manager. My team got they split it up, and now I had a whole bunch of responsibilities, and I had no experience and no idea how to do the stuff. And even going on to McDonald's, dude, like cuando I applied to the position because one of my friends from Discover, like se acaba de ir, and because se acaba de ir, he referred like a few people. So they contacted me, like I talked to them. I was not going with the intention of moving, right? Y luego más, because I was like, you know what, like, pues, ahorita I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable at Discover. Ya conozco mi trabajo. Like, I
Hmm.
could
You know the ins and outs. Hmm.
hypothetically, this is
Allegedly.
just a allegedly, right? Let's say I hypothetically want to play video games while I'm working. I knew how, when, and all that stuff, right? I got myself the ins and outs of everything. So leaving that comfort and going to a company where I have heard nothing but bad things when it came to their IT department, and when it came to the department that I was going to, right? It was scary, especially because it was one of those, like, you know I was betting on myself. I was already with the concept of, like, quería comprar casa. So, like, it's one of those, like, am I even going to be able to do it or not? And because I no longer have Discover to fall back on, porque ya también ya los compraron, so I can't get my job back, right? Like that job is gone.
Hmm.
So I have to make this work. And every day, dude, it is terrifying because my title changes so much. Like,
Come on, you can get your name plaque right? You keep
dude,
Y
buying name
sí,
plaques all the time.
and
cada rato en el parking lot, ¿no? Le están cambiando su plaquita, dude.
dude, it is fucking crazy. And lo
But
bueno
that's the
que
difference, Miguel. Like at the beginning of your career, you kind of were being pushed into that situation, right? Like you went through this program, IC Stars. Like they were like getting you to work and start your career. But the difference here is that you took this leap to go from now that career that you had already started to a different
Mhm,
place because you had now different aspirations, different
mhm.
goals, and you knew that betting on yourself was going to take you to that next step.
Yeah, I am still shocked, and yo les digo, I'm like, how bad did the other people have to be that were applying for the same position, dude? Porque en una estaba enfermo and I tried canceling. They're like, we cannot cancel. So I met with two directors with a snuggie on, y una cachucha because my hair was a mess. And I was like, look, I'm sorry, I'm sick. I tried canceling, no quisieron. Like, so they're like, all right. And I was like, look, I have asthma at the same time. So in case you catch me wheezing, I'm talking, I gotta put myself on mute to use my inhaler, right? So that's all like, how bad did the other people have to be? Yes, but they're like, you know what? The problem is you have so much experience, so much everything. Which again, I was like, oh, soy un pendejo, verdad? Pero pues, like, como dicen ustedes, like, like I feel like we put ourselves in that position because it does have to come up with how we were raised. And this is something that like I've talked to Tank multiple times about, right? Porque like going into corporate is very different than you know blue collar jobs.
Mhm.
You're used like I was used to blue collar jobs, right? I was used to like pues trabajar con mis manos and like like doing heavy shit versus like sitting in front of a computer, joining meetings nonstop and everything. It's a different type of fatigue. Um, and it's something that apenas I'm still going through it and learning. And pues ya estoy grande. I'm like almost 40. So I have all these young people that are coming in, me ven, they're like, oh, like I had this girl that was 24. She's like, can you like, si yo le puedo explicar how corporate works? I'm like, shit, I'm barely finding out myself, like I'm like, I don't know. How about we find out together, like, but it is
Pero in the
different.
meantime, go
Yeah.
get me a coffee, no?
Easy, yeah.
Oh, dude, lo bueno. My only good perk is that I get free coffee from the McCafe the building. I
Mhm.
used to get donuts when Krispy Kreme was there, pero
Ooh.
Dude,
yeah.
but I was gonna say, is the touching back on when you said about you look at different jobs and you look at the description y todo eso.
Mhm.
Honestly, like I feel like a lot of times eso también has like made me doubt myself. Like, damn, like that sounds harder. That sounds like something I don't possess myself. Like I don't know of that. And then you kind of look at or like you happen to get the job. Like for example, me with this, like I just see like, oh, you have to know like CRM and like all this other shit. And I was like, fuck, like I don't have that experience. I don't, whatever. And in the interview, like I was like upfront, I was like, you know what? I'm like, I don't have any CRM experience, like as far as like any software, todo eso. I'm like, but I'm willing to learn. And they're like, telling me like, oh yeah, like the person that's like had that was holding that position, like they're gonna be there 2 weeks and they'll teach you. And then after that, he's like, we have people that can like help you like learn the system and this and that. And I was like, damn, like at first I was like, fuck, like it's gonna be a lot. And then I looked like ya cuando me estaba enseñando, I was like, damn, like this is pretty simple shit. Like, what do you mean? Like, eh,
It's just MySpace, no?
haz de cuenta, dude. Like, and they're like, it was like, because they're like, oh yeah, you know how to, you gotta like learn how to pull this report and like go here, you can say qué, and pull this other report. And like at first I was like, fuck, dude, like la voy a cagar. But then as they were going through it, I was like, damn, like I don't know, like I feel like sometimes on paper it sounds scarier and bigger than what it actually is. E- I think I mean that's another imaginary circle, right? That we have to kind of get over. It's the like viendo the description and automatically being like, damn, like this is something I can't do, or this is something I don't have experience in.
Oh, dude, there's nothing that will like make you change. Not fully, but like once you start interviewing people, because when I was at Discover, like the position for the principal for my department opened up. Everybody was telling me to apply. I'm like, nah, like n- I don't have what it takes. I don't have the knowledge. I don't have what it takes. Everybody's like, but you have to drive. You could learn it. I'm like, nah, I'd rather have somebody else que ya sepa. Bro, they put me in the interview panel. The people I was interviewing para ser mi jefes, dude, like,
Made you think that you can do. He's like,
dude, I
wait a
was like, you
minute.
know what? I submitted an application and I became the top candidate. Now the más que HR was like, they were very adamant of like you need to have a college degree. So either I needed a college degree or I needed, I think it was like 6 years of experience. Y tenía
Mhm.
cinco. Tenía cinco and five and a half. And I was like, come on, dude, like it's half, right? Pero like a whole bunch of people quisieron abogar por mí, pero pues al último they were like, oh, like que no. So we ended up hiring somebody, and like it didn't work out. So then, but then afterwards, that's when I left. Pero pues once you start
To your
interviewing people,
point,
dude. mm,
yeah. No, no. To your point, Miguel, like I think we were just talking about this, like hearing from family or consejos or whatever. It's like do good at your job, be good at your job. Um, y también there's the saying, right? Que el peor uh, enemigo de un mexicano es otro mexicano.
otro
Like,
mexicano, yeah.
right, and not saying that just within Mexicans, pero like that's a perception, right? Like you want to hold your knowledge to yourself. You're like I'm the shit at this job. Like you want to be the bee's knees. But one of the things that not a mentor, but somebody that I respect that's in the field, like once said, um, me dijo is like, don't ever be so good at your job that you're not replaceable, right?
Mhm.
And I'm like, it took me a minute to really understand that. I'm like, what do you mean? Like you don't want to be replaceable. It's like, yeah,
Mm,
but then other people that come along the way, they're gonna get those promotions because you're so good at your job. You're gonna stay in that position that you have so locked down, that other people are gonna pass you up, and you're gonna stay in the same spot.
Todo
And then
eso,
another, mhm.
PTO. Imagine taking PTOs if you're irreplaceable, dude.
Oh, oh, I was about to say that, dude. At my job, um, so they hired an assistant for a loan officer assistant or loan officer partner, le dicen. Um, and she tried taking PTO, and like the manager was kind of like, oh, like I don't know, porque right now in the team is literally just her and me. Like that's a team. So there's nobody else to do what she does. And like, the manager's like, oh, like I mean, like, do you really have to? Like, get this and that. And he was trying to like talk her out of like taking her PTO. And like le dije, I'm like, you know what? Like jokingly, but at the same time, like I was kind of like, that's what you get for, por decir,
Offering so many perks, no?
like unintentionally being an important asset to your position,
Mm,
because I'm like, I do what I do, but I'm sure I could take PTO, and because of my position, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, that's fine, like, um, not saying that like somebody else is gonna do it, but it's not an essential part of like, es que te necesitamos aquí para que hagas esto y esto y esto. And like I'm learning things, but at the same time, like I don't mention I'm learning these things porque por lo mismo, because it's like, luego si me ponen a hacer, X, Y, and Z, then it's gonna be like, oh well, can I get PTOs? Like, well, no, porque you're doing this, this, and that. That at that
mm.
point would be outside of my job description or whatever. So yeah,
Digo,
dude.
there's people that thrive on that. There's some people that thrive on being important, being like oh, like hit that. They feel valued. To me, I believe in the philosophy of the worst thing you could do is become essential in your company. I
Mhm.
believe in that philosophy porque as soon as they start like, oh, we need Miguel on these calls, we need Miguel on this and this, I'm like, fuck. So
And then that's the reality of things too. That at the end of the day, like if you can't show up to work, if you are let go, the company's not going to stop.
Right.
Mhm.
And that's something I learned from blue collar jobs where me acuerdo like when I was working at the factory, and this it was like this lady, she was part of like the union y todo, o sea, like a member, well, not, we were all members of the union, but she was like a representative from the union. Y me dijo, she's like, you know what, like, do your job and that's it. Like, don't try to go above and beyond for them. She's like, porque like this manager me consideraba like her golden, like the golden goose, you know. And she's like, and then as soon as I got hurt, like, she's like, they practically put me down como un caballo, you know, que ya no puede correr su carrera. And she's like, and they went ahead and they found someone else to replace me. And he's like, and you know, like, they just kept
Like
going, or
nothing
they,
happened. Hmm.
right, the company just keeps going without you, you know. Yes, and she's like, and I was going above and beyond for what, you know, like, I ended up getting hurt. Like, ultimo, they never took care of me. They just kind of like pushed me to the side. It's like, all right, el que sigue, and like next, you know. So yeah, like,
Mhm. Dude, I learned a lot. I like working these 7 years of corporate. Dude, there's so much you pick up on, dude.
But also, like, do you feel like in some sort of way, like, um, and as we think of like the next generation, do we kind of break that mold of, in the example, like companies have policies and there's PTO and all that, and um, like there's plenty of companies that now offer mental health days. Like it the because the pendulum is swinging in a different way as well, right? Whereas like there's companies that are holding on to those like old school values of like show up to work or else you're gonna get fired. Like there's no time off, like, or there is time off, but hey, if you take it, it's on you because I don't know if you're gonna get back to work.
mm,
Um, but there's a lot of companies that are also being more flexible, more understanding, like going into the remote work, right? Like there's companies that are adapting to employees having more of a flexible schedule. Um, as a worker, as whatever, like, do you think it's gonna look better for years down the line, like our kids going into these jobs? Do you think that changes, or we're still gonna have some of that blue collar mentality within the people that hold those high
Mhm.
positions in jobs?
well, like, I know for sure. Going back to like sick days y todo eso, like, I remember my dad was being like proud, like, oh, like, what do you mean you're sick? You're gonna call off? Like, no, like, yo
Mhm.
Right.
voy a trabajar and like estoy enfermo and like I feel like shit and I'm still showing up and this and that. And then you do that at a white collar job and they're kind of like, bro, like, you're gonna get the whole office sick. Like, what the hell are you doing here? Like, go home and shit, you know? So hay lugares que, yeah, like, they take that more serious as far as like, por lo mismo, because it's like, all right, like, you're coming in sick, you're gonna get the whole office sick. So now instead of one person calling off, we could potentially have like four, five, six people calling off at the same time porque se enfermaron because you decided to come to work enfermo, you know?
Mhm.
And so I think in that aspect, like, in the future, yeah, like, I wouldn't, like, I'd be like, you know what, like, it, there does have to be a balance porque también no puede ser de que, like, oh, like, I don't know, like, the minor inconvenience, and it's like, oh, I'm not gonna go to work because, you know, me duele my toe or whatever, you know. But at the same time, it's like, all right, like, if you're sick, like,
Feet
take,
pain at this age is real, dude. A mí me duelen mis piecitos.
yeah. But nosotros yeah, we're older, dude. I'm talking about like, yeah, the newer generation,
Oh,
dude.
the youngins.
Yeah, dude. Que a los 20 somethings salgan que like, oh, like, you know, like, I don't know, like, me duele mi piecito, so I'm not gonna go to work type of. So I think
Uh,
that there does need to be some sort of balance, but at the same time, it's like, if the if your company allows you to, and like I know in Illinois, it's by law, no, que te tienen que dar a certain amount of sick days now.
I think it's like 5. Yeah, I think it's
Y-
like 5 sick days.
and what's called, so it's like if they're giving you that opportunity, then like make use of it, like you know.
Mm. They were like, so I think that it's already changing because the the younger people do, they have a different mentality now.
That is true.
They ha- they have a mentality of like, if they're not being appreciated, if they're not being like if the company doesn't appreciate them, if the companies are trying to like, se puede decir que exprimirlos, they
Mhm.
are very easy to quit on a job. Like I know I've been like, I go through TikToks, right, and like I'm all sides of TikTok, right? Oh, not all, most sides of TikTok.
Cuidado.
Yeah, yeah. Pero one of them is like the business side, like tech side, just business things, and there's a guy on there who puts that what he sees, because he's young, he's only like 21, 22, and him with his peers and like people from his school or todos, he's talked about how like if they go to a job and like les dicen like they demand too much of them, they will quit. And like, and they're like, obviously we get like people older like us que le dicen like, oh, no aguantas, like, oh, you're like, in my day, I mean, like I would do more, me tienen como burro. But it's like, it's como dices tú, like the 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 new generation está cambiando their focus. But I also think there's people like us in our age, because we're gonna end up being those people that are making rules in companies. Like ya cuando vamos creciendo and everything, there's people our age that are the ones that are dictating. Like, all right, like we're giving you guys sick days, or like explotar like the newer generation. So I feel like, I mean, our generation tiene que cambiar, because the new one is, and you can tell, dude. You can tell how like
So
nosotros a veces le decimos huevones, pero pues
There's a
so
hint of entitlement around that
mhm,
generation.
so
yeah.
like I feel like yes and no. Um, I feel like because I feel like también to a certain degree, like I had that. I feel like they're young, so they know I could quit this job and land something the next day. And I feel like a uno ya que es más grande, like te la piensas, like for example, you guys have mortgages, you guys have a family, you guys have, all these bills, and I feel like for them, for the younger generation, todavía no tienen eso, where it's like, se les hace fácil just being like, well, si aquí no me tratan bien o aquí no me gusta, like, fuck it, I'm leaving because I'm
Hmm.
young and I know I'm gonna get something around the corner, por decir. Y lo digo porque, like, I remember in Tootsie Roll, pues sí, nos explotaban y todo el pedo. But I remember at the same time, I was like 19 when I was there, and seeing like the older people that I was working with, and them being the mentality of like, oh, well, like be appreciative of the job you have, porque the benefits, y que like cuando te retiras and this and that. And at that age, I was like, dude, like, I don't care. Like, like if I,
No, no hay toilet paper in el baño. The stalls are halfway through.
y sí, güey. And like I remember like my mentality would be like, you know what, like I work here, it's cool, pero si se pasan de lanza, like I'll quit and I don't have this responsibility of like
Yeah.
having to pay X, Y, and Z. So it's like I'll quit and I'll find something else, So
Well,
I feel like
I will say that is because like we were still at my dad's house. Like if you would have like moved out on your own even at a young age, it
right,
would
but
change.
I feel like nowadays like home ownership, like para comprar una casa, like the medium age is like well in your 30s already. So a lot of these younger generations, they don't have that, or like a lot of these generations todavía están viviendo también en las casas con sus papás. That's what I'm saying. Like they, I feel like that entitlement comes from that, porque they're able to, like they have the
Mm,
financial freedom to be able to be like, you know what, like si no me tratas bien, yo me voy and I'll find something.
I'll find something else. Porque it is true. I think we tie age with responsibility at times, right? And it's like the older you get, the more responsibilities you have. You talked about mortgage, you talked about family, kids, right? And usually that is the case. Like for me to get up and find a different job, it's not like I don't feel too comfortable in being like, hey, like let me go look for the next thing. I'm done with you guys here. Like, no, ya lo piensas, you become strategic. It's like, let me find something else. Once I have something secure, I'll give my 2 weeks notice and I'll move around. But I think if I was younger and it was just me looking after myself, I'll be able to make those decisions with less kind of thought behind it. Like I'll be like, hey, if you're not treating me right, I'm out and I'll go find the next thing because it's just me. But now that you have people that depend on you y todo eso, it is harder. Um, have you thought about and I know we're 50 minutes in here and I don't want to extend this episode too long. We say we're gonna be short, but about those circles that we're talking about, those imaginary uh, lines that we don't cross or whatever. Have you thought about that like outside of like employment and career and success? But have you thought about that within your own family? Like you don't do certain things because that's just how family is. Like like have you, like because one of the examples that comes to mind is like I remember growing up, like it was a thing, like in the efforts of my parents, grandparents, family members, like teaching me how to be polite is like tienes que saludar a todos,
Mm,
like no matter who it is, like and part of that now, like as an adult, and I think of my kids, I'm like I get the part of being polite, but if they don't feel comfortable in going and hugging somebody and kissing somebody, I don't want to force them into that,
yeah,
right? But as a kid, I grew up with that, like you have to do this because you have to show that you're polite, that you have manners.
right. Well, I mean, just the fact of like, yeah, es que like, there's those sayings, right? Like, like blood is thicker than water. Family's family. Like all this stuff. I think that is one of those circle things where like no importa like how they treated you or how
Mhm. Yeah.
they, pues lo que las cosas que ellos te hacen, you almost have to be like, pues es mi tía o es mi tío o es mi, mi abuelita or whatever, right? Like, um, where like we're so used to that, like, well, I don't like them, but I have to go say hi. I have to be nice. I have to, tengo que aguantarme, like las caras que me dicen, the comments that they sometimes make.
Mhm.
yeah,
I think that's one of the big ones that I feel like I grew up with, and as I got older, I started realizing I'm like, you know what? No, I don't. I could say hi to somebody, be nice. Hey, how you doing? Like whatever. And if I'm comfortable enough to talk to you, I'm comfortable enough to talk to. But you cannot expect that from me, porque like I don't like, pues there's just not that connection, right? Like, or porque es lo que, like, I learned that now, because even in my family there's a lot of like animosity between each other and their divisions and all this stuff,
Mhm.
and what's it called, pues ya ves que pues, los terrenos and everything, like they divide families. So like we have that in our family, and at the same time we have dilemmas where it's like it's family members with me and family members with Tang, family members between like one of our parents, things like that, right? So all that stuff does, and I think it's one of those where like I feel like I had to choose me and be like, you know what, like family dynamic is my family is who I choose my family to be. Like, sure, I have my blood family, but I also have like, for example, pues está Romero, right? Está Cesar, like I consider that my family, more
You
than
don't
some
shout
of my
Johnny Boy
actual
out.
family members. Oh,
He's gonna
Johnny
feel some
Boy
sort of
too, dude.
way.
Oh, sí, dude, ahorita se me va a enojar, dude. My boy Johnny Boy, dude. That es mi primo, dude. Es mi primo Johnny Boy, dude.
He's the older brother you never had, no?
He's the older brother I ever had. I'm not sure if I'm older or he's older, but he's the older brother, dude.
Let me see.
Es el hermanote Johnny Boy, dude. Hermanote.
No, like
Wow.
piggyback off of that. Like I feel like the whole como dices like having family members talk about you, but then like si les contestabas, be like, hey, like respétalos, like you gotta show them respect or whatever because they're your elders or they're your family member or whatever. It's like no, like I think for me, like whenever I have like kids, it's gonna be like like if this family member is talking bad about you, like I don't expect you to like obviously también como te dijera don't go out of your way to like
To be disrespectful.
to be disrespectful, right? But it's like si te tienes que defender, defiéndete, like if they're talking shit, defiéndete, and then after that, just kind of like don't deal with them, like don't put yourself in a situation, or I wouldn't put them in a situation where I'm bringing this person around para que después otra vez comience, like the drama, comience like disrespecting my kids and shit, and I feel like like in many cases, like we've had family where, like que una tía habla mal de so and so, but she's still like being invited around and like things like that. And, like, or dicen algo, and then you try to like defend yourself, and then like, como te digo, like they're like, hey, like, no le hables así a tu tía, no le hables así a whatever, whoever that person is. And it's like, no, like, I feel like respect has to be earned both ways, no nada más porque una persona sea la mayor significa que you could be disrespectful and still be like thought of like
Mm-hmm.
having to be respected, So yeah.
100%.
All right. Well, as we're getting close to the end here, um, if I was to ask you, Miguel, ask you, Tank, we talked about these imaginary circles, imaginary barriers that once you take a step, into, past that barrier, like, hey, like there's multiple possibilities out there. But, you know, to our dozens and dozens of listeners,
Oh,
um,
hundreds.
it's a Mick Foley reference because the Rock would say his millions and millions of fans.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
When they tag team, Mick Foley would say, and my dozens and dozens of fans. um, is like, what would you, to the people that are listening, like, what is your one piece of advice on getting past those imaginary lines? So we'll start with whoever. I was gonna pick somebody, but I want to put anybody on the hot seat.
Oh, go
Oh,
ahead, pick somebody. Do pick somebody.
But Tank, you got it.
damn. Um, so an advice I would give someone to cross that line is sometimes you just gotta go for it. Like I feel like ¿cómo se llama? Como dicen, like success doesn't come. I feel like a lot of times we see the end story and we don't see the process, right? We
Yeah.
see, por ejemplo, Bill Gates being successful. We see, like um, all these other millionaires o lo que fuera, or just not even in that big of a aspects, like just people that we look up to. We see them the success part, but we don't see the failures. We don't see like how many times they tried before they got to where they were. Um, so yeah, like I think go for it, but at the same time, también be calculated. Like don't just wildly go without some sort of plan. No, like I feel like, como dicen, if you what is it? If you don't plan, you plan to fail if you fail to plan, you know. You,
Palabras de
you,
tanque.
you see it. So like I feel like también it, it, it's not just wildly being like, oh, I want to do this, and like deja y me meto en deuda, o deja me meto en, this and this. Pero at the same time,
Pedrada, ¿no? Just told you
but
about my spending habits.
but at the same time, it's like, like you do have to you do have to try, as long as you learn from your losses, because I feel like if you fail at something and you keep trying to repeat the same things, the same mistakes, then I feel like you're not gonna grow porque estás haciendo los mismos errores. But if you like do something and then you fail, and then you're like, you know what, like let me see what went wrong, let me start analyzing cosas and learn from this for next time, then I feel like you're in the right track to success.
Ya ven, muchachos. Listen to Tank.
You see, way
Uh,
acá talking like J, ¿cómo se llama? El pinche,
is
el
it RFK, dude? Or
RFK, yeah.
Oh shit!
Well, I feel like
have,
that's how I'm talking con la pinche voz ahorita, güey. Like,
Or está empezar
yeah,
Tylenol.
you have to follow your dreams.
you see,
Tylenol is autism. Pero
Fuck that guy. Oh, go ahead, Miguel.
pues todos, no todo, the whole cab, dude. Pero no, so like I was laughing because like when Tech was saying he me acordó that like some a meme thing that I saw where it was like some girl that went like some 20-something-year-old girl that was comes from money, came into some podcast talking about like how to be an entrepreneur, was like, don't love your job your love. And the other guy is like,
mm,
oh, that's such a great, like, oh, that is so smart. I love that. And I'm like, qué pendejada, ¿verdad? Pero, but anyways, um,
damn, I don't know
it's
what part of what I said reminded you of that, but
because
Damn.
like, no, like
o sea, o sea, yo acá bien inspirado y luego sale que estoy diciendo puras pendejadas, ¿no, dude? Like,
no.
damn.
Like what you said made sense, but for some reason, it just like my head was like el changuito dentro de la cabeza with the symbols, dude. Like
Or the
front
whole,
up, front up that thing.
if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Yeah, yeah, that. Because it was like like I was like, oh, that makes sense. The way the girl said it didn't make sense. That's what I meant, right? Digo el changuito con las symbols, dude. Ahorita está todo lo que da, dude. Pinche durón este chingón en la cabeza, ¿no? Pero um, uh, advice. So I think my advice would be, I think a lot of the times we surround ourselves with people that don't have our best interests and don't understand. I think, because sometimes it's not people that don't have our best interests, but people that don't understand. For example, like if I were to tell my dad, like, "Hey, Dad, I'm going voy a dejar de trabajar, working where I work, and I'm going to start working in computers," my dad would have been like, "Why? It's a waste of time, right?" Like he wouldn't understand it. I think what I would advise is always look for somebody and like guidance and support. Te digo, like a mentor in a field that you want and where you want to go, and ask questions along the way, because it is scary, it's terrifying. It's like if people were to come and ask me like, hey, I want to get into IT, like I could help you, but it does not mean that I am not scared myself. And like es algo que siempre vas a tener contigo. Like, so never be ashamed of, like, or never be ashamed or scared to ask questions, because that's something that I feel like a lot of us tend. Like I know I had it. Like I mean, siempre me da pena. Siempre I was like, you know what, like, why would they want to help me, right? Um, but I've learned that, and then I've learned just I suffer from a lot of shit, dude. Imposter syndrome, self doubt, like like public speaking, uh, todo esto, right? And then I'm always thrown into situations where I have to do that. I think another tip I would say is like always work on your soft skills because you can learn the hard skills. Soft skills are very hard, and in
They
no hay
take
nadie
longer
que
to
te pueda
develop.
enseñar. Yes, no hay nadie pueda venir y te diga, you know what, here's how you do it, 100%. Is like, it's something that you have to go out there, you have to put the effort into it. For example, even us doing this podcast, like it is also helpful to us because we're able to have these conversations, be able to speak about these topics, right? So I know this podcast also helps us in our personal growth and our career growth. Um so I think that's what I would advise. Other than that, I'm just like, if you want to get an IT, dude, there's like free courses. Always go free before you pay. There's so many shit
You
out
know,
there. Now
you know
you got,
what's better than free courses, Miguel?
huh?
An internship that will pay you to learn.
Oh,
Oh,
ICstars.org.
there you go. Like I went there, so I like that. That is how I got to where I'm at. Like I can't be like, oh yeah, like I think all three of us have, in one way or another, been part of that circle. So um,
That's not an imaginary circle. That's a real
no,
circle.
that's not an
that's a,
imagined circle. That's I guess right now it's a triangle porque no somos tres, dude.
It depends on how you draw it. Not very. I'm not very artistic like that, so I might try to do a triangle and it comes out to be a circle. But yeah, I think. I mean, a whole episode on its own could be talked about in regards to imposter syndrome, right? I think that's a lot of um, even to this day, like we just talked about all these different scenarios where at work we doubt ourselves um, and 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 to Miguel's point, like this episode has made me in real time think about imposter syndrome and things that I've been able to do that I'm like, oh shit, like I actually done some shit, like like you doubt what you know because you didn't, I think outside of Tank, Señor Tanque con sus maestrías, pero
Oh,
Obi like gone the non-traditional route and found a career through, and like I think you kind of live with that constant imposter syndrome and those imaginary lines. But at the end of the day, I think what we've learned from sharing some experiences here is that it just takes one step to be able to step outside your comfort zone to see what could be possible. And I think that both of you guys talked about is surrounding yourself with the right people,
mhm.
right? Making sure that like within our group of friends. Yes, that's including Johnny Boy. We talked about Caesar. There's Pedro. There's all these other people who have also been on the pod that are friends, Ala and Angel.
Angelito, yeah.
Um,
and then
like
Johnny Boy
we're
again, porque he's such a great friend, dude.
there you go.
Oh, dude. No,
I'm like
no, he's not a friend, dude. Es el hermano
el
mayor.
primo, el
El,
hermano
El
mayor.
hermano mayor. El hermano mayor.
el big bro.
Um,
El big bro.
I think at the end of the day, like we're all like there to support each other, and we want all of us to like we want each other to do better. Like that's the cool thing here, and surrounding yourself with people that are rooting for you. It's also encouraging you for you to take that step because it could be scary to step out of your comfort zone and just kind of one of the things I said up front was like to fail fast. Like if you're gonna fail, hey, go for it. You took a chance, and you know you failed fast. You learned from it. Move on to the next thing. Um,
Mhm.
I mean I think overall like it was. I thought this was a good episode to share some of that lived experience and how to move past those like imaginary lines. Um, porque as an experiment, experiment itself, like and seeing that with the ants and stuff like that, it's like it does show you that at the end of the day, like whatever's in front of you, if you take a different approach, it can actually be not a barrier but an entryway into something different. So um, with that being said, we're nearing the end of the episode. We don't have our closer. Who wants to close us off today? Because you know we do have to ask the dozens and dozens of fans to make sure to
Dude, you gotta go like that, though.
Hold on, dude, porque no puedo ni hablar, güey.
Blancos RFK over there.
I got you, dude. I got you, dude. Porque I
Va.
don't want. No creo que Tanque se vaya a morir, dude. All right. I got you, dude. Rate, review, subscribe. All links can be found at todostomanpodcast.com. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook at Todos Toman Pod.
Yeah.
Which
That's
I
it.
failed, dude. I failed because Johnny, my big bro Johnny Boy siempre, the first one he says Todos Toman Pod, I think, or podcast. I forget which one he uses. He alternates.
Well,
He
that's it.
alternates.
Just you got it right this time, Miguel. Um,
Yep.
pero por lo tanto, nos vemos la próxima semana. Nos vemos on is that what they call Fat Wednesday? No.
No, no, that's Fat Wednesday before Ash
Oh, it's
Ash Wednesday. It's
Ash
Fat
Wednesday.
Tuesday.
Okay. Fat Tuesday,
Fat
that's right.
Fat Tuesday is before Ash
Is this
Wednesday.
Dark Wednesday? What is there's a name for the Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
Oh, I didn't even know there was a name before it.
Pregúntele al primo, por favor, porque I know there's a name for Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Um, pero sí, va a haber un live episode during that Wednesday. I see Miguel typing, so I'm just letting that
Uh,
air know.
well, I mean, some people call it Blackout Wednesday
Blackout Wednesday,
Yeah.
not Dark Wednesday. I had said Dark Wednesday, but it's Blackout Wednesday.
or Blackout Wednesday, Drinksgiving.
Ooh, I like that. Drinksgiving. That might be the name of the episode dude, for Wednesday. There's some people that know it as Slapsgiving. Um,
From
reference
How I
to How
Met
I
Your
Met Your
Mother.
Mother.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Or I mean, there's a tale somewhere there that I slapped Caesar on a Wednesday before Thanksgiving, but I don't remember. So there's no evidence of that.
Drinksgiving at its finest, dude.
Um, pero muchachos, I think that's the episode for this week. Um, I am in contact with Nestor from All Purpose Hot Sauce Macizo. I'm
Ooh.
gonna be getting some salsas from Nestor. We're gonna distribute them out. I know there were some people that we said we're gonna send them
Mhm.
out to during the live during Halloween's edition of our Barra Libre. Um,
I think it was like Carla, and Carla.
Sí.
no, vamos a mandar unas salsas para California ya. I think Christopher out there. I think Cristina over here on our side. We're gonna have enough hot sauce to distribute. Pero if you guys want to go and taste the Macizo Farm salsa
Oh, the
wings
wings,
from
dude. The
Oh.
wings.
Las Picosas, that's pending. I mean, I wouldn't mind joining you guys. It's not far from you, so we can give that a shot. But we'll keep you guys updated on that. That's the end of the episode. I don't want to extend it too long. I'm just talking because I low key am looking for the outro music. Here we go. I found it.
Ooh. ¿Cómo se llama? The all-time American halftime show te va a quedar cortito, dude.
Ya veremos cómo nos va, dude. Pero I was gonna say last cheers, pero ya ni tengo nada.
No.
Y pues yo sé que Tanque stay hydrated, Miguel stay hydrated, stay safe, guys.
Tú ya me
Nos vemos la
acabé toda
próxima semana.
mi agüita, dude.
All right.
Fíjense.